How's it going, everybody? My name is Buck, and this is Down and Down, a Rabbit Hole podcast. And I'm joined by my co-host, my favorite jackalope, Jack. Jack, how you doing?
Yes, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah,
And how are
yeah.
you, Buck?
I am just the happiest rabbit. I don't know.
Hopping happy?
Hoppingest, happiest rabbit for no reason at all. I just was trying to figure out something rabbity to say, and that's what I landed on. Anyways, so so I don't know if you've gathered this, but Jack and I we're pretty super nerds.
We're nerds. We are.
We've always been super nerds. We were always into the nerdiest of things. Jack was a Star Trek fan as a kid. As a matter of fact, I think that Star Trek fandom has gone into his adult life. Because have you finished watching all the series yet?
No. So a few years back I did start, and I tried to go through them chronologically, and then they started bringing in other ones, and I had to go back. And so I'm not, and I've taken long hiatuses between them.
Yep.
But so I haven't gone through everything, but that is still something I'm working toward.
Yep. We were always really big superhero fans. I was a huge Power Rangers fan. We've kind of talked about that. Jack wasn't as big of a Power Rangers fan as I was, but
I was a fan, but just not as big.
Yeah. But that's not the fandom we're talking about today.
Ninja Turtles too.
Oh, Ninja Turtles. We were both into Ninja Turtles. We're going to talk about kind of one of this. It has one of the longest legacies of fandom, but also has stepped into controversy over the last 10 years or so, a little bit more. And that's Star Wars. So let's give our hot takes and piss some people off. Let's get into it.
Guys! Speaking of nerddom and how much we are, so your dogs have been named after mythological creatures. You had Phoenix, and now you have Griffin. My dogs, or all of my animals actually, have been named after nerd culture. The dog we have now is Calypso, who is named after that's mythology, but also a character in Pirates of the Caribbean. My cat is named Dutch, which is also Pirates of the Caribbean, because his full name is the Flying Dutchman.
Mm-hmm.
We just call him Dutch. We had a dog named Storm, which was from X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've done a lot of Minerva. I had a cat named Minerva because she looked like Minerva McGonagall from Harry Potter. And at one point, do what?
As a
cat, right? In her cat form. We had a goat named Loki. We had we had a cat named Arwen for a short time. We had a big old dog named Beat, also X-Men, and we had a bunch of chickens who were named after a bunch of nerd culture stuff, like Bellatrix and stuff. So, this is on par for us doing Star Wars-y stuff. And
and I also say this, I gave Phoenix before, I always called him, I gave him an unofficial middle name, which was Yoda. Because I wanted to name him Yoda, but Doe did not want to name him Yoda. So I was like, okay, well then I'm going to call him Phoenix Yoda.
I always thought Yoda would make a cool name for like one of those hairless cats.
Yeah.
Or Dobby.
Mm-hmm. I've known of some dogs named Dobby.
I know of a kid named Anakin.
So, all right. Star Wars is one of the longest appreciated pieces of sci-fi fantasy because it's a sci-fi movie, but there's a lot of fantasy elements to it. It doesn't really, since it's a space opera, it doesn't really get into a lot of the things that a lot of sci-fi properties get into. If you like, a lot of people are watching Dune right now. Dune is kind of like the quintessential sci-fi because the vast majority of Dune, it's not action packed and that kind of stuff. It's a lot of politics, like a lot of politics. And
Yeah.
politics of that world. And Star Wars was never really that. It had some politics in it, which you had like Senator
And
Amidala,
the prequels were very heavy with
but not this,
politics.
not like that though. Of the sci-fi stuff that I've read, it's kind of like at least going to be 50% political intrigue, at least, if not more than that. And I've read Dune, and everybody loves Dune. That's my biggest gripe about Dune. It is probably about 80% political intrigue, and the rest of it is action.
I haven't read it.
Yep, action and romance, and that's not an even fraction of those either. So Star Wars was never that. Star Wars always leaned into the mythos of it, the Jedi, the battles, the lightsaber fights, the
Yep.
the suspense of it all. It wasn't driven predominantly by political intrigue, which that's not really what this whole thing is about. But I do want to kind of distinguish that there, like, I think there's a reason it kind of stands out among other things because it wasn't doing what other things were doing. And it's almost like he wanted to take an epic fantasy and put it in space.
Well,
with aliens.
You know that old song. Some people call me the space cowboy.
I do
They
know
were
that
space
old song.
cowboys.
Yeah.
They were essentially space cowboys, or with a
Yeah.
big hint of Japanese.
Space
knights.
cowboys, space wizard, like it's cowboy wizard knights.
Yeah.
And so
Monks, wizard knight monks.
your wizard knight monks. The ultimate multi-class. So
That's a D&D joke for those of you who do not
yep.
understand. Because we are nerds for those nerds.
Yep. And our nerdom is ever expanding.
Yeah. I'm ready to LARP. When are we going?
Ready to LARP. I started playing Magic the Gathering. And so obviously episodes 4 through 6 are the original Star Wars, and everybody loved them. People had complaints about them. I know that a lot of people thought that the Han Solo of A New Hope was not the best version of Han Solo, and they felt that he changed in The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, for the better. But and there were small gripes like that.
Yeah.
And I never really got a whole lot of that growing up. I mean, we were fans of Star Wars as kids in the 90s, and I remember the first time I ever saw anything Star Wars, like actually pieces of the movie. You and I were with our parents. Where were we? You remember? We were in Sam's
No.
Club.
Oh.
We were in Sam's Club. And there was
I grew up with an older brother who had Star Wars toys, because
Yeah.
the first movie he ever saw as a baby was Star Wars, and they took him to it, which is funny because he doesn't like Star Wars now. He and I are vastly different.
Yep.
He doesn't like anything
That's
that
an understatement.
requires you to have an imagination.
Right.
But he, but that was he had a lot of the toys and stuff, and I remember those, and they were those original 70s really bad toy action figures and stuff.
The
So
ones
I remember
that
having
Elliot
those.
had in in ET. This is
Yes, yes,
Greedo.
yes,
This is
yes.
Snaggletooth, which was
Did you
definitely
know that
not his
Greedo was
name.
supposed to be in? Do you know that Greedo was supposed to be in the prequels?
Mm-mm.
He was a child, and they cut the scene. I think it's actually been filmed, and you can look it up. And maybe if we can find it, we'll add it in here. But if we can, maybe not. It might be a thing that we get flagged for. I don't know. But there's this scene where he like makes fun of Anakin, and Anakin like jumps on him and wails on him and like beats him up. And then they decided it went against the way they wanted to portray Anakin. And so,
Yeah, he
yeah, but
would
that was
never
supposed to be
do anything
Greedo.
like that later on in life. Um,
Yeah, he would never. But that was the
he was too old. He wasn't young enough.
yeah. But that was supposed to be the same Greedo. It was supposed to be the
Yeah.
same one. And so I wondered if that same what is those aliens called? They kind of look like a little that Greedo
What
is. I
Greedo
can't
was,
remember what
I
they're
can't
called.
remember what they're called.
Yeah,
Um, oh, we're
there
not
is
real
a child one
fans.
in
We
there, but
don't
there's
know
not.
what the aliens are.
There's a bunch of there's a bunch of aliens, and trying to remember things on the spot sometimes is not
A
always
Rhodian. Yep,
easy.
Rhodian.
Rhodium, yeah.
Yep.
Um, but there is a Rhodian child in there, but it's not the same one. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's a side note, but I thought that was cool.
Um. So yeah, we were in Sam's Club, and Sam's they were, they'll kind of display certain products, and they had on display a huge big screen TV, and this is like old school big screen TV. Like they were massive, super deep, super wide, and the screens had that weird like plasticky
Deep and
texture.
wide.
Do you remember old school big screen TVs? How like
Of
huge they
course.
were. So
I
Return of the
remember.
Jedi
Go ahead.
was playing on it. You remember what?
No, go ahead, and I'll tell you when you finish.
The Return of the Jedi was playing on, and I had seen stuff of Star Wars before, but I had never sat and watched a segment. And we just sat there and we watched the scene where Lucas turned himself in Return of the Jedi, and he's discussing with Darth Vader in the hallway outside of the shuttle hangar on Endor,
Mm-hmm.
and where he's like, and this is where we hear Anakin Skywalker for the first time ever. That's the scene where what
Yep.
Darth Vader's real name is, and Darth Vader's like,
Yeah.
that name no longer has any meaning to me. That was that scene.
Yep.
It talks about Luke building a new lightsaber.
Star Wars was a huge part of of us growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I remember later when the prequels came out, being at Walmart, because this is how old we are. Being at Walmart back when you could actually play the games, and your parents would walk off, and you would stand there. Now they have games up, but you can't really play them there. It's not the same. And I played the from the prequel where he's flying the pod racer, and I played the pod racer game standing in Walmart, craning my neck to look up at the TV and playing that. I remember falling asleep. I put on the trilogy before those came out. I put the trilogy on. I had like the tape set,
The box,
and it went through.
Yep.
Yeah, and it went. But I had one recording too that went through all of them. And I fell asleep in the first one, watching it in my room, and woke up, and they were encasing Han Solo in what's it called?
Carbonite.
The carbonite. Thank you. And you had Luke's lightsaber. I had Darth Vader's lightsaber. We would go out in your front yard and have epic battles.
Yep. And it was awesome because it was at night. So any cars that drove by were probably just seeing random little lights hitting at each other in my front yard.
They knew. It's too epic for people not to have known.
Yep.
And what's funny is I carried this into my adulthood when Coney, my oldest boy, was little. He had some lightsabers, and I think I got myself the purple one, which is Mace Windu's, and because purple is my favorite color. and we battled in our front yard.
Yep.
And he has even said since then, he's like, why don't we do that? No, we
Yep.
can. We can go outside and have some epic lightsaber battles. Let's do it.
And so it was such a huge impactful thing on our lives. And we so a lot of people don't know this, but Jack and I, whenever we were in college, filmed there would have at least been a half an hour Star Wars short film.
Yep.
That we never finished because
Right.
they lost stuff, and
Audio.
they lost audio, and we just weren't able to put what we wanted to in it, so we kind of were a little dissatisfied with where it ended up. And so
what's funny is my character's name prior to this
this is
that
no
were being
joke.
made,
With this is so freaking crazy. Go ahead.
it's spelled differently, but my character's name was Kylo. My character's name was Kylo Adai, and that was way before any of the sequels ever came out. So when they came out and his name was Kylo Ren, we were like, "What?"
It was so surprising. And now, should we have spelled it the way that Kylo Ren was spelled?
Yes.
Probably, because the way we spelled it, we spelled
so.
it like kilo, like the measurement kilo. But
Or like the name Milo.
yeah, which is where we kind of got it from. We just didn't think about that. But so it was huge. It was huge in our lives. So also, we were probably in the 5th, 6th, 7th grade whenever the Phantom Menace came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that like throughout a good chunk of our like high school, college years, people hated on the prequels quite a lot.
Yeah.
But whenever they came out, it felt like everybody loved them.
Everybody was so hungry, I think, for a new taste of Star Wars.
Yeah. And I remember there was an event in the city that Jack lived in, and we would walk from his house to it, and he had seen the Phantom Menace before I got to see it, and he was over there quoting Jar Jar Binks like crazy. He's like, "Ooh, Gooba fish." And he kept saying it over and over again. I'm like, I don't know what this means. I haven't seen it yet.
I remember walking you through, basically telling you the whole movie. Do you remember this?
I do remember this. And so I didn't know until probably whenever I was in like 11th grade that people hated the concept of midichlorians. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know people hated Jar Jar Binks so much. I just remember thinking some of the acting is a little rough in it. Like the kid that played Anakin, I know he got a lot of hate. He wasn't the greatest actor. He wasn't. Sorry for him. He didn't deserve death threats. That's stupid.
No, nobody deserves death threats or something like
that. And some of the dialogue was bad and directed poorly. Like, I think Revenge of the Sith is amazing. Well, but go ahead. Even what?
No, I was going to say even George Lucas. I mean, that he writes very wooden. I mean, he's called like he has a nickname like I think he calls it himself, but he's like anyway, it's basically saying that he has wooden dialogue. Like when he writes it, it's very direct and it's wooden. It's not not very natural.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's one reason why it felt like the Jedi had a bit of a no personality for a lot of it. And
while Jake Lloyd was not necessarily a great actor, it probably wasn't easy with lines like they gave him.
Correct. And also he was 10? So
he's a child.
I mean,
little.
You can't really hold child actors to the same standard as adult actors. But there were several questionable moments in Attack of the Clones that Hayden Christensen delivered that were it was a little rough. The whole like I hate sand line, the whole I'm a Jedi, I'm better than this line. Um,
I'm with him on hating Sam, but
yeah, but it just yeah.
the line.
Yeah. So there were issues with it, but those issues were far shadowed by the positives of it. We had finally gotten a great depiction of the world. And even some of those depictions, George Lucas was like, this didn't work so well. Let's change it up. Because the way Yoda looked in the Phantom Menace, people were like, oh, that don't look good. So I'm just going to make him CG for
It
the
looked
rest of the time.
awful. Well, now they've kind of redone him in the Phantom Menace with the CGI, and I'm so grateful because the puppet looked bad.
Yep. So Revenge of the Sith is top tier. Like it's by far in the top 3 best Star Wars movies for me. I think it's no surprise. My favorite Star Wars movies are Empire Strikes Back, Return of the not in any particular order. Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and Revenge of the Sith. Those are the best Star Wars movies there are, for me. And
Revenge of the Sith is Coney's favorite. Yeah, my oldest boy.
And it's definitely got the best duel out of all of the duels. And I know people are like, oh, it's over the top and blah 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 blah. But in that one scene where they're spinning the lightsabers around, not hitting each other. But
yeah, that I will say they just start spinning them around. I'm like, this is kind of pointless. But the duels are really good. And I'm going to also say this. So A New Hope's lightsaber battle between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader sucks. Let's just say what it is. But we know that they're old men, and they're just standing there just kind of like barely tapping them together. But I watched this thing on YouTube. It's not AI because it was done before AI was a thing. That they put it together and said this is what it should have looked like, and it's phenomenal. And I'll send it to you so that you can watch it if you haven't seen it.
You said this was before. It was the one that they did before AI was a thing.
Yeah.
It's really great. I've seen it. I'm like, it's amazing.
It is. I was like, this is correct. Since we're correct in everything, after the fact, let's just add this in here.
Yeah, it just use the one they made. So like, it's just great. Star Wars was it was great, and the originals still are great, and they created a whole expanded universe.
We know that it's not completely original. We know that he borrowed from other things from before him.
Sure. Took inspiration.
Everybody does. Everybody takes inspiration from things. And we know that originally he wanted it to be a whole other movie. Like it was based off of Buck Rogers. Mm-hmm. He wanted to do a Buck Rogers movie. Couldn't get the rights. He created his own thing that has far surpassed and outlived Buck Rogers.
100%. 100%. And I don't even really know much about Buck Rogers, to tell you the truth.
I don't know a whole lot about him. I know that I think Darth Vader was like based off of his villain or something. I don't know. But it's more intimidating. I've seen it.
So, but let's talk about the current state and future of Star Wars. And I do kind of want to hit on the fact that Jack and I are not very versed in Legends or expanded universe stuff. We know a little bit. We know and we've researched stuff, but
we knew people
now
who were.
Now it's kind of harder to get into that because Disney has created other like history stuff that kind of intertwines or negates some of that stuff.
Yep.
And outside of going and reading every individual expanded universe book and that kind of stuff, researching online is the only real means that we have. And
speaking of Disney, I just got back from Batu a few weeks ago, which is Galaxy's Edge.
Yep. Yep, it's and it's great. Galaxy's Edge is
It
great.
is great.
That's one of the positive things about the Disney acquisition. And I've been to Galaxy's Edge, I think 3 times now
Hmm.
since it was created. And I mean, I love it. I we
I
built
want to. I think we
a
should go together.
droid. I got a lightsaber. I'd love to go together. The
But
rides
we'd
are
have to
fun.
go in some kind of a. We'd have to go. I don't do a lot of Disney bounding or whatever, but that's one I would do.
Yeah, yeah. But so, anyways, trying not to get too far off track here. It's usually
Sorry.
me. um, but
But this is a different subject, so
yeah.
I get
I
excited.
mean, it's one of our oldest things that we've been into.
So in going to the future, we do kind of have to hit here on the problem starts with the sequels.
It does.
Um, and I know a lot of people hate them from the beginning. I did not mind the first one. I actually
No.
really liked the first one
Yeah, I
of
think
them.
yeah,
I
a lot
think
of
it had a
people did.
good basis. Yeah, I think it had a good basis. It was very reminiscent, and they were following the same formula that they had
It was
before.
like a safe.
It was, but
Yeah.
they had plenty of place to. This is a safe place, but we're going to veer off and
Yeah.
build it into something. But once they passed over from J.J. Abrams into new director hands and started killing off Snoke and
And
everything else, it just really sucked.
yeah.
And then they tried to save it by bringing back the Emperor, which negates everything that
Yeah.
happened in the originals.
And it has like the worst line in Star Wars history, which is
And if you haven't watched these, sorry for the spoilers.
I mean, it's been plenty of time. I mean,
Don't
we're
watch this one
years.
if you don't know
We're
anything about it.
years, yeah. Maybe we'll put spoilers in the in the
The intro.
title.
Yeah.
But so yeah, the line somehow Palpatine is still alive or survived or whatever.
Yeah.
Line is there, and that's pretty crazy to not really expand on that. They have essentially they use some of like the comics or a cartoon or something like that to
Yeah.
explain how Palpatine did all that. Unfortunately, that doesn't fix anything. And
It
ultimately,
also goes against the whole thing that it goes against the whole thing that Anakin was supposed to bring balance by killing off the Sith
yeah,
because
he
now
did. Yeah,
the Sith
and
didn't
now he
die.
didn't. Now he didn't do it. Yeah. So Anakin didn't fulfill the prophecy officially now, and we'll kind of get into like the whole balance thing here in a little bit because Jack and I have talked about this in extreme detail recently. But so
Mhm.
ultimately, I think the sequel trilogy as a trilogy is pretty terrible. It could have been significantly better. As I go back and I watch The Force Awakens, do I think that is how it should have started? The sequel should have started? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No.
Um, this is probably my hot take. I personally believe that the sequels they should have just recast the original actors. I personally think that. And I think they had the
Oh,
means to do
and
it.
so yeah,
I think they had the means to
I
do it. I think
and
Sebastian
and
Stan
to do
100% could have been
something
Luke Skywalker.
a little closer to time. Is that
Yeah.
what you mean, closer to their
Yeah,
time?
so like maybe
Yeah,
within like 20 years of it or 15 10 to 20 years post Return of the Jedi, I think you could have Sebastian Stan looks so much like Mark Hamill back then,
he
and he
does.
could have
I
done a
think I've said the same thing.
fantastic
I think
job.
they should have cast him um as that role. I and I would have liked to have seen that to a degree because I know that they had I know that George Lucas originally had a story in mind somewhere that falls in that timeline. Um, I know that he was wanting to go back and then because there's interviews that have come up with Mark Hamill and he's saying we've told this is the end of this story, but then they're going to go back and you know like before he says 20 years or something before, and we're going to tell the story of young Darth Vader. And then he says, then we're
Hmm.
going to come back and we're going to tell the story of I think it's a little bit older Luke and all of them or something
Hmm.
like that. And I would have loved to have seen that. But even if they did it the way that they did this one, I feel like they should have stuck more to the Legends stuff a little bit. And
Hmm.
because I think the original characters needed a better send off than what they got.
I know that is an understatement, Jack. That is a huge understatement because Ryan Johnson's maltreatment of the character of Luke Skywalker is appalling. Like it is
Yeah.
by far the thing that ruined the sequel trilogy for me the most. It is so bad. It is so
And there's
bad.
nothing you can really do about it now because Carrie Fisher's dead.
Carrie Fisher's dead. Han, Harrison Ford, he's in his 80s, man. Like and the
Yeah.
project that he's doing now, he said is going to be his last acting project. The Shrinking series, I think is what it's called. Um,
Yep.
and
Which I was like, how are they going to keep him in a series? Because this man may not live
yeah,
through it.
he said that this is his last thing. Now he looks great for a man in his 80s,
He does,
but
he also doesn't
he
really like playing Han Solo,
yeah.
which is another thing. This is off topic. It's a side topic. The Han Solo movie, I hated who they casted because I don't think he looked like him. I think he
I
played
hated
the
the
part
movie.
fine. I
I
did
hated the
as
movie.
I didn't
Have
like the
you seen
movie.
the way they made the Wookiees look in that movie?
Yeah, I saw it. I saw
Only
the
one that
movie.
looks like a Wookiee's Chewbacca, and there's like four other ones, and they
If you've
look
ever
like
seen the movie Age of Adeline, they should have cast the same guy that played young Harrison Ford in that because he sounds like
oh
him and he looks
yeah,
enough like him. But they
yeah.
should have just done that.
That'd have been good. So yeah, the maltreatment of Luke Skywalker, freaking Leia Poppins. Um, if you got
Yeah, with the flying back to
just
the
type in YouTube Leia Poppins. Just do
when
it.
she's flying back to the after she's out in
Oh,
space.
it's so bad. The inconsistencies with the timeline. Like,
Yeah.
okay, so how in the world are Ray and Luke on a planet and 3 days go by on that planet? Yet when the people that are running away from the New Order, that's 18 hours. That's not even a full 24-hour cycle. It
Yeah.
doesn't make any freaking
Now, Rogue
sense.
One, speaking in
Rogue
this
One's good.
same kind of Rogue One is a very good movie. I know it
Yes, it
wasn't one of your
is.
favorites because it doesn't show a lot of Jedi. It is?
No, I loved Rogue One. I thought Rogue One was great. I loved the
Well, I remember you said you liked it, but you said
no, no,
you
no.
missed having
Yeah,
Jedi.
it'll never be like a favorite because the thing that makes Star Wars for me is the Jedi.
Sure.
Um, and
But
I
it
think
is a phenomenal I
it's
think
a
it's a
phenomenal
phenomenal
movie.
film.
If you can't appreciate it, then I don't really think you're a true fan of Star Wars. If you can't appreciate it just because there's no Jedi in it, I don't think you're a fan of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Um, but because I also love the Mandalorian. The Mandalorian was great. From what I
Yeah.
understand, I haven't seen
I haven't seen the
Mandalorian
new
and
movie.
Grogu.
Yeah.
But the series, The Mandalorian, was great. So I will say this: the majority of the series are pretty good. Ahsoka is probably my favorite. Ahsoka is probably my favorite series they've done. I know a lot of
I have
people.
not watched Ahsoka.
Yeah, Ahsoka essentially is if you've watched Rebels, which is held in pretty high esteem as one of the
Yeah.
best things that Disney's done with Star Wars. It is like a live action sequel to Rebels.
Yeah. So I was a big fan of the movies and I didn't ever really get as big into any of the TV shows. Did, however, I did, however, get into The Mandalorian and the Obi-Wan movie TV show. Those were
Which
really,
a
really
lot of
good.
people didn't like
They were
Obi-Wan.
like, oh, I
Um,
did.
I liked Obi-Wan.
I
Was it
enjoyed seeing
was it as good as other
I think
things? No, absolutely not. It wasn't as good as other things. However,
it didn't necessarily need to be either. It was kind of filling in the gaps and showing. And I loved
Mhm.
what I did love seeing was a young Leia and being able to
Yeah,
see why she would have been reaching out to Obi-Wan as
yeah,
an adult.
And spoilers for Obi-Wan. I love the aspect that going into that series, Obi-Wan thought Anakin was dead.
Yeah.
I love that, like, you have him realize Darth Vader and Obi-Wan are the same person in that series. I thought that was a really, really interesting move.
Which
And
can make sense, but why he tells Luke that his father's dead, because while he knows it at this point,
they very much set that line up in the last episode. Whenever so he fights Darth Vader, and it's Hayden Christensen in the Darth Vader costume, and he says, "You look at me as your biggest failure," and he says, "You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, I did," and that set up that whole thing.
Yep. And it does. It's exactly what they were doing. And going back to the whole Leia thing, it never really made sense why, if we think about it, why this young girl was reaching out to this old man who's been on this planet hiding out, who nobody talks about. They know him as Old Ben. It doesn't make sense why she would be sending him, saying he's the only hope.
Right.
If you don't have this connection here.
It might not be. It's not the best story in Star Wars by any means, but it is good.
No, but it is a good story. It's a good. It's definitely. It's like it is just what it is. It's connecting the gaps. It's not supposed to be the most phenomenal story.
It's just a supplemental story,
right? And it's good. It fills that role very well.
And so I watched all of Book of Boba Fett. It's okay. A lot of people are like, oh, it's the worst thing in the world. I don't believe in polarizing things just because it didn't meet your expectations. Book of Boba Fett is pretty good. It's pretty good, and also there's a lot of
and that
Mandalorian
is one of the issues
lore
that I have with Star Wars. One of my issues that I do have with Star Wars is they just bring people back to life.
That's true, but
like
people
Boba
have been
Fett,
asking for Boba Fett to come
Darth
back to
Maul,
life for a long time.
I know.
They're doing a Darth Maul series. It might already be out.
I don't understand why I don't understand how Darth Maul came back to life. He steps Qui-Gon and he dies. His freaking head falls down a chute, but don't worry, he's so full. He's gonna be alive. He ain't dead. Make no sense. Everybody else dies pretty simply, but the ones that have the most dramatic and traumatic deaths.
I guess they thought if Luke can survive falling down something like that in Empire Strikes Back, then maybe Darth Maul can survive something like that too. But Luke didn't. Luke only lost a hand. Darth Maul lost
freaking in half.
Yeah, Darth Maul lost the bottom half of his body.
Yes, don't even have a pecker.
Right. And I guess
he lost his life.
I guess theoretically, you could survive being cut there. Theoretically.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's your intestines.
Yeah, it would be like, your like the bottom half of your colon.
Like I said,
but maybe the cauterization of it all is what allowed him to live.
He lost that lightsaber to pee with.
Yeah.
His saber.
So, and I agree with you. I think one person coming back to life would have probably been fine.
Sure.
Would have probably been fine. I will also say this. So Rebels is generally regarded as a good addition that Disney has done.
Yeah.
I think Disney caused some confusion for Star Wars in, I think, the final season of Rebels, because Obi-Wan and Darth Maul show up in the final season of Rebels when Ezra, who is the main character of Rebels, goes and sees Obi-Wan on Tatooine, and Darth Maul, I think, is tracking him and ends up coming upon Obi-Wan in the deserts of Tatooine, and they fight. It's a very, very, very short fight, and Obi-Wan officially kills Darth Maul. Darth Maul dies in Obi-Wan's arms. They kind of have like a tender moment between each other while Darth Maul is dying. And Darth Maul asks him the question, because he's asking, before they started fighting, he talks about how he's there guarding somebody, which is Luke. Like we know that
Yeah.
it's Luke. And then after they fight, Darth Maul says, "Tell me, is he the chosen one?" And Obi-Wan says, "Yes, he is the chosen one. He believes he's the chosen one." Um, which is extremely confusing. Now there can be
Yeah.
nuance to it, but it's extremely confusing because I remember as kids, I didn't know who the chosen one was because we didn't have access to just go look on YouTube to see some interview that George Lucas did. It wasn't until I was in my adult life that I finally saw an interview where George Lucas actually says, "Yes, Anakin Skywalker was the chosen one." So I remember getting into fights with not fights, but debates with people because I believed that Luke was the chosen one growing up. I
Mm.
believe that Luke was a fulfillment of the prophecy because Luke essentially was the one that made it happen, even though it was by Anakin's hands. Um, and I eventually came to a conclusion that it was both of them together. But then George Lucas came out and said, "No, Anakin is the chosen one." Um, but this kind of flips that on its head, and still the official position of Disney is that Anakin is the chosen one. So it's just kind of like you have to like really like think about this thing that Obi-Wan tells Darth Maul. It's like, oh, is it just that
Yep.
Obi-Wan believes that Luke is the chosen one? Or did they somehow like shift the conversation to like non-verbally acknowledging, is Anakin actually the chosen one? What, or was Obi-Wan lying? Like it's unclear and it's confusing. Um so and I think that those are all like Dave Filoni decisions, which Dave Filoni
Yeah.
generally is great at like at, at being his whole role in Star Wars has been one of the
Sure.
positive things. Um
You know,
so
and this is so the topic, but Star Wars Young Adventures, I'm all for the idea of introducing kindergarten age kid to Star Wars. I think that they could have done that a whole lot better.
mhm.
For one, why did they call it Young Jedi Adventures? Why wasn't it they missed they called the show freaking Younglings.
Yeah.
Star Wars Younglings. Um,
Yeah. I don't even know
but
hardly anything
also
about this.
uh, and for the longest time, I thought the character, I don't know a lot either. I thought the character of Nubs was a freaking Ewok. I thought he was a blue Ewok, which I was like, why the frick is he blue? No, they made up a whole new race called Pooba. He's a Pooba, and they're blue bears. They're a blue bear race.
Interesting.
So they made some stupid
Yeah,
choices.
they made some stupid choices.
Just, I think, to make, could they have been Ewok and not blue?
Could they what how what now?
I said they could have made him, they should have just made him an Ewok and not
Yeah, they
blue.
could have done that. And also, let's kind of talk about. I know we're kind of jumping all over the place here. Let's jump back
Yeah.
to the
We're just kind of
to
covering
the
it.
yeah. Let's jump back to the sequels really quick. I feel like overall there was just a tremendous mishandling of characters in general. So Ray, I think one of the biggest criticisms about Ray that is accurate is that she's way too freaking powerful.
Way too powerful.
Way too powerful. She should not have there is no doubt that she should not have been able to win a fight against Kylo Ren, even if he was underestimating her, even if he was toying with her. Like she overpowers him. Like there's a point where there's a shift in it. He may have been toying with her at first, but there's a shift and she overpowers him through the force.
Yeah.
And I just don't, it's not believable to me. And while I enjoyed it at the time, whenever you're able to retrospectively look at everything after seeing the issues that the series has, it's just like, yeah, she is they just like, Ray, Mary Sue. She's a Mary Sue. There's nothing wrong with her.
Yep.
She can't be bad. And Mary Sue characters are some of the worst characters out there. Like
They
I
are the
know,
worst
I
because
know,
they're overpowerful.
and I think some people would call Luke a Mary Sue. I think that is a really inaccurate depiction of Luke.
Yeah. heard people
Um,
say that, but it's
and
usually only in small doses. Like in this area, he fits.
I think they
You
do that
know,
because Luke is a very moral character. I think people have a tendency to label moral characters as Mary Sue's, and that's not accurate. That is not what a Mary Sue is. Mary Sue is a character that has no issues.
right? And
In
is good at
world,
everything.
yes,
Yeah,
and Luke was
I
not.
mean, this has always been an issue. So if we jump back over to Star Trek for a moment, that's why people didn't like Wesley Crusher because they saw him as a Mary Sue.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean,
And I know, so I know Jill think like she believes Luke is a whiner. I
he is a little
always
bit.
I always push back about that because the only example people can give me about him being a whiner is that first thing that he says in A New Hope. Um, oh, but I was gonna go to Tashi Station to get some power converters. Like, and that's the only thing people
That's
really.
just that's just a specific version of him doing an actual whining
And
voice.
he
But a
actually
lot
is
of
whining.
times he is whining.
I don't.
But it doesn't
I
mean that
can't
he's
name
not.
another
He
time.
doesn't.
I can't name
Another.
another time. Um, he can be judgy. He can get irritated, but I don't know another time in the series where he's whining.
I'm going back through all of them now, and I haven't. And our next one that we're about to watch is A
Maybe
New Hope.
catalog it for me and
Yeah,
give
that's
me
what
all
I'm
the
gonna do.
examples. Give
I'm
me
gonna
all the
go through and be
examples
like,
of him whining.
this is kind of whiny, and it doesn't
Um,
mean that he's whining. It just means that he's uh not very. I don't know how to explain it, but a lot of times in the main characters kind of come across as whiny without whining.
I mean, I can see what
In a
you're
lot of
saying,
stories.
and I'll say this: I think the only time he really is like that is in A New Hope. I don't think he's like that in Empire Strikes Back. I don't think he's like that in Return of the Jedi. I think maybe the reason people carry it on into those movies is because he's the one that is put through emotional turmoil.
Yeah.
And because generally the main characters are the ones that experience the majority of the emotional turmoil. And
But you
you've
know, I
got,
liked Han better than I did
yeah,
Luke, even as
Luke,
a
Luke is
child.
by far my favorite Star Wars character.
My favorite is Yoda.
Um, and I love Yoda, but Luke was always my favorite. Um, and but he's the one that goes through the ringer emotionally. He's the one he sees Obi-Wan die right in front of his eyes, and that's the only other time I could think of him kind of being sulky. Um, and
The whole when kind of during the "I am your father" scene, he's a little bit.
yeah, I can see that. I can see that, but that is also such a great scene. It's like one of the most famous scenes in the
It
entire
is,
series.
but it doesn't
Uh,
change that he's kind of a you know
but again,
oh
it makes sense that he's like that. So like I guess the reason I have a hard time with it is like whenever somebody complains, it's only annoying whenever it's not founded.
yeah.
And the only time that I think that he doesn't have a reason to complain is when he's acting like a teenager at the very beginning of A New Hope.
Well, he
And
is a teenager at the beginning of A
right,
New Hope.
well, yeah, I mean he's 19, but
He's
still,
that's a
yeah,
teenager.
yeah.
He
Well,
ain't 20.
you know what I'm saying? He's an adult technically, but
Yeah.
so like, anyways,
But when you're talking about, so you're talking about her using the lightsaber, and it's not just because she's new to the Force either. I think because it is catalog. I mean, it is canon. There are non-Force sensitive people who can use lightsabers. You don't
sure,
have to have Force device. But she has not had any real training. We
right.
watch the whole first freaking movie is Luke learning to use his abilities pretty
He
much,
doesn't. He only
right?
holds a
I mean,
lightsaber 2 times in the movie. Like whenever he's training with
and we
the
watch
little
him battling
droid,
those little droids. I
yeah,
mean,
and whenever
yeah,
he sees the lightsaber
we
for the
actually see
first
him
time,
going through training, right? And she picks it up
she
and
force
is
picks it up. Force picks it up.
yeah, yep.
Um, and Luke only uses the Force 1 time in A New Hope, and it's the big climactic moment of the movie spoilers, whenever he makes the torpedoes go into the ventilation shaft.
Yeah.
But I mean, the build up to it is so much better. It's so much better, and it's not like, oh well, I'm fighting one of the big bads of the series right now. He's like, in all reality, Kylo Ren was the equivalent of Darth Vader in the sequel series,
So
and
he, you know, I watched the thing where
as far as roles
George
go,
Lucas,
as far as roles go,
George Lucas had actually been in works, like he had an idea and he had an idea for these films, but they went
sequels.
against his stuff.
Yeah, he wrote
Yeah,
treatments for them. He wrote scripts.
he did, and he wrote them. They went against his ideas and essentially kind of got rid of him. And this is what I've seen this, people say this and I believe it. They were not telling the story. He was telling a story. He wasn't trying to, and I think that's why he's okay with people not liking the prequels, because he's not trying to just, he's trying to tell his story that he wrote, and they just are trying to cash grab and make and do stuff for the fans. He's his own fan. He's trying to make stuff that he likes and tell his own story, and in doing so, people come around and we like that, even if there are issues like Jar Jar or whatever, we accept it. But their stuff makes no freaking sense because they don't know the world that he created.
I think so.
And they're just trying to create stuff.
No, I agree.
True.
It is absolutely just a cash grab thing, and I think part of that is that Kathleen Kennedy did not understand what was special about Star Wars. I think she understood.
She should have never been on the project.
No, and now she worked for Lucasfilms before Disney acquired Lucasfilms, but she didn't get it, and I understand that's a bold claim, but I think she proved that she didn't get it because, and this is one thing that George Lucas has said in interviews since the sequels started. He said Star Wars has and always will be about the Skywalkers.
Yeah,
And
exactly. It's a soap opera about a family.
Yeah, and
soap opera.
At least the main series, the main line story, like you'll have supplemental stuff. You've got like Old Republic stuff. You've got expanded universe stuff. But he said the main story of Star Wars should and always should be about the Skywalkers. And guess what? All the Skywalkers are dead. Not a single one is alive. I don't care. Rey's not a Skywalker. She's not. She's just not.
So if we were to fix the story, and it would have to do a lot of overhaul and make it a better movie without the whole Mary Sue and all that, I think they should have done what everybody was thinking they were going to do the entire time. I think they didn't do it to catch people off guard because everybody was thinking that's what they were going to do. They should have made her Luke's daughter, who maybe like put on another planet to keep the people who were searching for them.
They should have honored it to some degree. It didn't have to be exact stories from the expanded universe, but they should have used exact characters. They should have. I know George Lucas hates Mara Jade, but Mara Jade is kind of a beloved character that ended up getting brought into the expanded universe, and like, I think she would have been important. I think that.
I didn't know he hated her. Why does he hate her?
But because it goes against the Jedi code, the marriage thing. But he was fine with Leia and Han marrying. So, but
Leia. Well, I guess Leia in the books. Well, here's the thing. Also, though, they're not Jedi by the Old Republic.
No, because essentially what happens in the expanded universe is Luke acknowledges the issues that the original Jedi had, and he essentially is like, I'm changing all that. I'm changing this aspect of it to make a better Jedi Order. I think they should have taken Luke and Leia's kids. I mean, both Han and Leia and Luke and Mara Jay's kids. Maybe not all of them, but made those be the main characters. Didn't have to tell the same story. But what do we get? We got no, Juke. Luke failed at
I like the
restarting.
name Juke.
Luke failed at restarting the Jedi Order. And what did he do? He went and he hid. He went and he hid.
Yep.
And how did that happen? Well, Luke sensed dark side energy in one of his students and almost murdered him in his sleep. That's Luke Skywalker. Well, that's the Luke Skywalker we know and love. Nope. Yep. He was gonna kill him. Oh, he decided not to.
Doesn't make any sense.
So I sense dark side energy. What am I gonna do? One of the most dark side things I can freaking do. But I overcame that, and people thinking that is a good direction for Luke Skywalker.
Here's the thing. I could even see him think about it and be tempted by the idea because of like maybe PTSD with everything that he went through.
Yeah.
And then ultimately being himself and being like, but this is not the right way to do this.
But getting to the point where he has his lightsaber ignited, standing in front of the thing, to the point where he confuses Kylo Ren to the point of Kylo thinks that he's actually going to kill him. Thus confirming any sort of dark side temptation he's got in there, essentially making Kylo, like, he's responsible for Kylo's turn to the dark side, like, in a huge way. Yeah. Obviously Ben Solo's decisions are his own. But I also say this, we're talking about kids. One thing that's crazy confusing to me is that they named Kylo Ren's real name Ben Solo. And in the expanded universe, Ben is Ben Skywalker, Luke Skywalker's son.
Yep.
And it's just kind of like, guys.
I guess with the Obi-Wan show, it makes sense why she would name her son Ben. But at the same time, it made more sense for it to be Luke's child because
Luke is the one that had a stronger bond with Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan is continuously appearing to Luke Skywalker as a Force ghost, and he doesn't appear to Leia as a Force ghost. But all right, well, so let's talk about some other things.
Some of the new stuff that's coming out.
You still haven't watched The Acolyte, have you?
I don't want to.
I don't think you should.
Not one good thing about it.
There's some good lightsaber fights in it. Where a Sith
ring lightsabers.
Yeah. That's a great description. Great description of it. It's very controversial. I know some people have kind of come out saying, "Oh, there's some expanded universe stuff that absolutely allows for this," but it's really it's kind of a silly argument to make because it's obvious that that's what they were trying to do. So, spoilers for The Acolyte, because it hasn't been that long since it's come out. The Acolyte takes place like 100 to 200 years before the events of the prequel series. And even one of the characters in the prequel series is in The Acolyte. Yoda is not that character. I don't understand how this character's in there, but Yoda doesn't exist in this world. Doesn't make any sense to me. But the Jedi are trying to explore a vergence in the Force, which a vergence is a thing in the universe. Vergence is talked about in The Phantom Menace. That's what Qui-Gon. The word Qui-Gon uses to explain Anakin. He describes Anakin as a vergence in the Force. And so they're going to this planet that was previously a dead planet, and now it's teeming with life, and there's settlements on it. And you find out there is this group of, I don't know what to call, I think they have a name, but they're witches, and they use the Force. They're not the witches from the Jedi Fallen Order game. They're not that. That's a totally different kind of witch.
Dark Sisters or something.
Yeah, the Night Sisters.
Nice.
They're not that. They're not even close to that. Because the Night Sisters are all a certain race of people. I think they're connected to Zabrak somehow. Because when you play Jedi Fallen Order and you go to the planet that Dothamir, when you go to Dothamir, there's a bunch of Zabraks that are a part of the cult that the Night Sisters were
They
in.
are the female Zabraks don't have horns.
So they are Zabraks.
Yeah, I think so.
Look that up
Because that
and
one,
fact check me.
I'm pretty. Let me see. Knights are Night Sisters Zabraks. Yes, Night Sisters are specifically Zabraks, usually referred to as Dathomirian Zabraks.
Yep. So these witches, not that.
And that
one of them
girl-
was a Zabrak though. One of them was a Zabrak, and she had the horns.
That's weird.
So
Maybe it's I don't know. Maybe it's
No,
sometimes
no,
they
it's not.
have them kind.
It's not. It's just a misunderstanding of like it's Leslie Headland not knowing what the heck she was writing and directing, and or not caring. And essentially, you go through the story. The Jedi are painted as the villains of the story because the whole thing of why they wanted to do this, they wanted to be like, hey, good and evil in the battle of Jedi versus Sith is a matter of perspective. What a load of crap. From like that has never been what Star Wars is about. If you cannot claim to be a Star Wars fan and believe that the Sith are ever good. That's not the story. George Lucas did not create them to be good. Balance, we'll talk about balance now. Balance is not having so much light side of the Force and having so much dark side of the Force. That is not balance. That's not what George Lucas meant by balance. Maybe he should have used a different word. But balance for George Lucas was...
Well, it's not what he meant. Go ahead.
Go ahead. You say it. Go ahead, say it. You might finish my thought.
No, go ahead and I'll come up.
Balance isn't a matter of scales, which is why people are looking at it that way. Balance is a matter of what's good for the Force. Like George Lucas used cancer as an analogy. A balanced, healthy body is cancer free. And so comparatively, George Lucas compared the dark side of the Force to cancer because it's evil. And for people to be like, oh, I'd be a Sith, I always was like, that's so stupid. You can think they're cool. You can think they're cool. You can be drawn to them because you like villains and stories, but identifying with a Sith, that should be a red flag, honestly. And like, that's like people being like, I would be a Death Eater in Harry Potter. That's the equivalent of that. Yeah. And I don't understand why people get Death Eater tattoos. It's so strange to me. But like,
I mean, because they're kind of cool looking.
I mean, it is kind of cool looking. Be one. But still, so that was the whole approach to
I wouldn't
this.
Get one, but
no, that was the whole approach to this. Bring nuance to what's good and evil in Star Wars, and that defeats the purpose of Star Wars. That means you don't understand Star Wars. What were you going to say?
That I agree with you for the most part, but Yoda does say a prophecy misread could have been.
He does say that.
And that is within George Lucas's works. So,
but I think we also confirmed that it wasn't misread. It was just speculation because it wasn't going the way they thought it was going to go.
How's it confirmed?
Well, George Lucas confirmed that Anakin did
in canon.
Yeah, in canon. Like George Lucas believes that he fulfilled the prophecy the way that it was supposed to be fulfilled.
Well, George Lucas ain't in canon.
But he's the one that wrote the canon is what I mean. So like he believes that his canon fulfills the prophecy. And because technically Anakin did fulfill the prophecy before Disney messed it up. Anakin did end all the Sith at the time. He did technically fulfill the
Yeah,
prophecy. Um,
it did. I mean, but what I'm saying is, if he believed that a prophecy could be misread in this, I could. I'm not saying that he would believe that the Jedi are um evil, but that he could have the understanding that maybe they misunderstand what bringing balance to the Force is, and that their belief was it was just going to eradicate the evil, and that is what George Lucas meant by it. But if Yoda is able to say, maybe we misread this, maybe
sure.
that's my point. That's
I
my.
mean, and I get
And I'm not
that.
saying that I believe that. I'm just
You're
saying
just being
that
devil's
you have
advocate
to
right
be,
now.
yeah, and you
And
have to, and being devil, and being open to the idea, and saying, hey, well, here's a leeway that we could play with,
yeah,
but not what they did in Acolyte.
no.
That's
Also,
stupid.
they had the Force witches use the Force to give birth to twins, two women Force witches. Um, and
Well, I mean, I don't like that, and I get it, but at the same time, we also know that Anakin was born just by the Force. So,
right, but
which
but in
I were to
expanded
correct,
universe,
we're gonna, if I were going to correct the sequels, I would have had Ray have a Force baby with um, Kylo, so that it's an actual uh,
Skywalker.
Skywalker, and it's using the Skywalker name because she has taken it. That's how
Yeah,
I would fix some of that crap.
I and I'll say this too,
It's got to be
in the
fixed.
expanded universe, there are some stories that I think paint Anakin coming into being by Plagueis and Sidious manipulating the Force, and that ended up being how Anakin was born. Um,
Sure.
so so it,
But we can't really look at a lot of the expanded
I mean,
stuff
that's true.
anymore.
That's true. I would say I think the best decision for Star Wars is to make the sequels legends. And
I agree.
that allows them to honor what they did, like, and the people that poured into it, but tell a new story because pretty much almost
Almost like a
everything,
what if.
yeah, or an alternate reality or something like that. Um, but the truth of it is,
The only thing that sucks about that is, like I said earlier, the originals deserve a better send off.
they do, and I think they should do another set of sequels, because they still have the means to do it. They still have the means to
Oh,
do it.
we'd have to CG Leia.
I think you recast Leia. You recast Leia, and
I don't
you can
I
still
don't think it
use.
would be
I mean,
accepted.
that's my one hot take. A lot of people disagree with me. Like, you can't recast them; they're too iconic, and I understand that. But
We didn't like the way that they did Solo and who they cast. I mean,
that's true. That's true. But that also still is kind of
like we
under Kathleen Kennedy. Kathleen Kennedy's not in the picture anymore, and um, I think if you have people like um, John Favreau, Dave Filoni, and Sam Witwer, who is the guy that voices Darth Maul most of the time. He played the main character in the Force Unleashed games, which are no longer canon. Um, but all those guys, if you let them head up stories to kind of soft reboot the sequels, I think we could do a good job. Um, and Disney let them do what they need to do and keep their hands out of it as much as possible. Just let fanboys create good stories because they want to honor Star Wars. But so I think I would be totally fine with that. The other properties that take place in between the Return of the Jedi and the Force Awakens, they're all pretty good. Like, there's
yeah.
not any that are absolutely atrocious. I know some people really hate on the Book of Boba Fett. I still think it's a pretty good show. And there's nothing that is ultimately detrimental. So you could easily soft reboot and go from there. And
So
go
since
ahead.
you're kind of hitting on this, and we've already talked about we would like to see the old characters get a better send off. We'd like to see them brought back. We'd like to see some of the original stuff from
That doesn't
well,
mean
it
they
is
have to
now
be the main
Legends.
characters. It doesn't mean they have to be
No,
the
it
main
doesn't.
characters.
I mean, I don't think that they were going to be in Lucas's original stories. I think they were going to
Mm,
be it was going to be passed down to their kids or
I
grandkids
think
because
it
that's
was
what.
going to be about their kids. Yeah.
And honestly, I think one way to if they were to do that, one way to honor um Carrie Fisher is to cast her daughter as what's her name? Jason and
Jason Solo. I think it's Jaina.
Jaina, is it
Um,
something like that? I can't think of her name right off I literally just saw it, but I think that would be a nice way to honor her and her family. I mean, you might disagree. I don't know. Her daughter was in the sequels. Was the blonde girl.
yeah, the one that
I would
kisses
say,
another woman at the end.
does she?
Yeah, there's two women that kiss at the end of.
Yeah, I did know that, but I didn't think it was her.
I'm pretty sure it's her.
Um,
I might be wrong. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure it is.
but I think that would be a good way to do that. What bothers me is they're creating brand new characters, and like you've already said, this is a soul for George Lucas.
About
This was a solo and Skywalker family. This was a Skywalker family drama. This was not meant to
Yep.
be.
In
So you're
his
creating brand new characters.
in his treatments that were rejected, says George Lucas's rejected sequel trilogy treatments centered on rebuilding the New Republic with Princess Leia leading the government as supreme chancellor, and the story focused heavily on the next generation, specifically Anakin's grandchildren and a young force-sensitive female lead, while Luke worked to reestablish the Jedi Order. And that sounds like such a great series. Like,
Yeah,
so I have no problem with the idea of a female lead. That, like, if anybody, like, because people will be like, "Oh,
that's
you
not
hate
her
on
daughter.
this." It's not her daughter. Okay.
Sorry.
I thought it was.
No, sorry, I interrupted you, but I pulled up.
I have
Her
no
daughter is in
problem with.
scenes with her.
Okay. I have no
Go ahead.
problem with female-led movies, and because people throw that out there. People are hating on these movies because it's a female lead, or because it's got a more diverse cast. Which, by the way, my favorite character in the sequel series is Finn, and he's drastically um, mishandled. Like they did not do a good job of handling that character at all.
Oh no,
And
Poe's my favorite.
no, I love Finn. He's great in the first movie, and clearly they're like, this guy should be a force sensitive character. And what do they do in the last movie? He's like, Ray, I gotta tell you something over and over again, and he never tells her. Jack, he never tells her. But
Mm-mm. I know.
out of
I know.
off screen, um, J.J. Abrams said, "Oh, he was going to tell her that he believes he's force sensitive." And well, now we will never know. Now we will never know. And
Hmm.
so it's so dumb. Um, but we do have something coming out. I thought that's who I thought it was. I thought she was the one that kissed another girl at the end of the movie. So I guess I was
I
wrong.
just sent I just sent Buck the picture.
Um,
Yeah, it was a different woman.
so
She's an older woman.
but
This
we
is
have
another
a
woman.
Ray sequel coming out that's post sequel series. I do think it is on hold, but it has not been canceled. And it
The
centers
Ray
around Ray.
series,
Yeah, a Ray movie at least.
her new Jedi. She's got a new Jedi order or like a school,
I swear,
which bothers me a little bit, but whatever.
if she successfully reestablishes the Jedi Order and when Luke couldn't, I will be so mad. I will be so mad. Um,
Don't be.
don't be sexist. So he says,
I said don't be surprised if she does.
"Oh, I won't be. I
If that's
expect
what
that to
they do.
happen." And there is another sequel movie coming out starring Ryan Gosling. Um,
Yeah, that kind of bothers me too. But I mean, he's a great actor. I think it bothers me that that Star Wars has been built on lesser named people. and built them up, gave them a career, and yet here we are. They are. It feels like they're doing another cash grab. It feels like they're just trying to build up on its name, and I don't like that. I don't like that they did that because, like I said, they cast unknowns in the original, and they built and they got a career based off of that, right? That's who we know them as. And then you give, even in this, even in the prequels, nobody knew who they were. Now, some of them already were acting. Some of them already had, they were semi famous. Like Ewan McGregor or whatever. But they weren't quite like they weren't quite like him. Ryan's already got a huge name. And so I just feel like that's a little problematic. I don't know. I think you probably agree with me. You're nodding, so I'm thinking you're agreeing with me. But um, I don't like that. People didn't really know who uh, Daisy Riley,
Ridley,
whatever
yeah,
her name.
she had not been in a whole lot at this point, and she'd been in like
They were
supporting
acting,
roles.
but they weren't famous.
Right,
Right, right.
right. Um, Sorry if you hear my dogs in the background. Um, but so yeah, I mean I don't hate on Ryan Gosling. I'm more so just like I just wish they would try to forget everything sequels in after, and then eventually reboot it. And and so and just this also these were things that were created post Kathleen Kennedy's exit. So
Yeah, she should have just never been a part of the
the
project
scripts and
or
everything
handed the
were already
project.
written. They were already written, and I know they're trying to damage control it now, but yeah. So
I agree. I think going the Legends route would make sense because you and I
mhm,
had already talked about that before without saying that. We said,
yeah,
it should be like a what if or another um, not dimension, but like what am I trying to say? Like another
alternate reality.
alternate reality. Yeah, that makes sense. That to me, I could be okay with that. I agree. I think they need to go back and this and I know that they'll never hear this because we have maybe viewers and listeners, but if somebody knows how to get this into Disney's hands, please don't screw this up anymore because we
No,
love this
I
as
absolutely, and I think, and I want to address this. This is we've talked about this on the podcast
cast
before.
Billy Lord as Jada, whatever her name is,
Yeah,
and
cast Sebastian Stan as well. No, you don't have to. You just cast Mark Hamill as old Luke, as an
yep,
older Luke. Um, we could even. I mean, heck, we could even. There's a lot you could do. You could start a sequel series that is really good with Leia's funeral
yeah.
and honor. You want to honor Carrie Fisher. Leia has passed away, and that's how the movie starts. There's a lot of things you could do that would absolutely honor everything, and
And I would even be okay, like if they were to go younger, if they cast you may disagree, Millie Bobby Brown as a young Leia again, if they were going
yeah.
back that
Though
route. I think she
I
looks
do
enough like
I
her.
do think she looks more like Padme, but
She does, but they
but that's potentially a positive thing
exactly.
because while hey maybe she doesn't look like Leia, she does look like the family, and
And if they're going old, who has acted a little bit. She and you could do it, and this could be the way we show her dying. She's more of a singer, um, but kind of looks like older Carrie Fisher is Stevie Nicks.
oh yeah, I don't think I ever thought of that.
And you throw and you throw in just you use a little CG and make her look more. I think it could work.
She does look like her. That's funny. That's really funny.
Isn't that crazy?
That is funny. But I think the thing that people like showrunners in Hollywood need to start acknowledging is that if you are working on a property that someone else created and has a huge fandom and a lot of people love that property is your responsibility to steward. It is not your responsibility to be provocative and change things because that's what you want to do as a showrunner or a screenwriter. That is not your responsibility. Is to honor what the legacy of that work is. I know I won't stay on this long, but a lot of screenwriters started complaining when Henry Cavill exited The Witcher, because the reason he exited The Witcher was because the screenwriter, the showrunners were not honoring the source material. And people are like, what's the point of being a showrunner if you can't create your own story that you want to tell? It's like, don't do it on a property that already exists. If you want to be a showrunner, create your own show. Create your own original show. Oh, it's not, you don't always get the opportunity to do that. Oh, I'm sorry. That's life. That's life.
Yeah.
Maybe
this isn't your work. If you want to do that, create your own stuff.
If you want to do that, create a show that everyone is going to love from the intellectual property that they have been fans of this whole time, and make a name for yourself by being like somebody that stayed true to this vision and legacy of this beloved work, and gain the trust, and then tell your own story. Like we look at Zack Snyder, and you got a lot of people that are like Zack Snyder fanboys with his DC universe, but I kind of equate those people to the same people who think the direction that Disney has taken Star Wars in is good. They're almost in the same vein of people, because they double down, never change, and and works continue to be released that are not good. And we see Zack Snyder, he's not a good storyteller. He's a good DP, which means he knows how to make things look amazing. And he proved he's not a great storyteller because he wrote Rebel Moon. I
thought that meant dick penis.
He wrote Rebel Moon. And it was bad. It was really bad. So, and that kind of proves my point by he didn't honor the original characters of Batman and Superman. They're not the characters they're supposed to be. He may have picked good looking people for the role, but it just wasn't the case. And I think that's exactly the issue that we're having here with Star Wars. People, like, I know a few people who will double down on thinking that The Last Jedi is such a great movie. And they're like, simply because they wanted everything to change. And I'm like, well, then why did you want everything to change if you're a fan? Like, right. I'm not saying don't tell good news stories, but changing the essence of a story is almost like a contradiction to being a fan of that world.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
I'm not looking forward to seeing all new characters because I think they need to reground it in what it's supposed to be. But I am excited to see new stories.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe I'll be blown away and I'll love it.
And because the Jedi New Order thing is kind of on hold because nobody's looking forward to it, and Disney knows that the fans are not happy, maybe it will get canceled. Like, we can only hope.
Why would they double down on Rey when everybody hates her?
I don't know. I really think it was a Kathleen Kennedy thing. I really do. But well, I think we've kind of reached the end of this rabbit hole.
I think so.
I think we could probably infinitely complain about it.
We could. Oh, and praise it at the same time. I mean, we have. But I know you gotta go. I know your parents are coming to visit you, and so that means that you got to get out of my house.
Yeah, this time I won't complain. But, well,
But I love you.
may the force be with you.
Down and down the rabbit hole.